Hello, Julia. Welcome to the podcast. How are you today? Doing good. So excited to talk about AI. It's such a hot and important topic these days. People just want all the information, so you're going to deliver. So, what would you say if somebody's thinking about pressing play, or maybe they have and they don't know if they want to keep listening? What pain points would they be experiencing that will get answered through this episode?
Yeah. A lot of the pain points are more on kind of like future proofing your website and kind of planning ahead rather than kind of like trying to plan for the now because Google still has like the lion's share by far of any search platform. ChatGPT is nowhere near it, but it's something that is definitely growing. So even if, maybe your audience isn't really using ChatGPT to find recipes today, it could definitely be something that's going to grow in the next year or a couple of years.
Yeah, I think the word future proofing that you used is something that rings true for everyone because
Yeah.
it feels like a little bit of a scary world out there right now.
hmm
And anything we can do to future proof our businesses and all the work we put into it is,
Yeah.
we want to pay attention to.
hmm
So tell us about you. What do you do? Your business is Julia Renee Consulting, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. So I do SEO, Pinterest, and AI search. Actually, today is my business anniversary. So I've been doing it for 9 years today.
Oh my gosh, happy
Yeah.
anniversary.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
I kind of forgot about it and I was like, oh, wait, that's today. So yeah, I've
Amazing.
been doing this for 9 years. I actually I learned SEO and Pinterest with a travel photography site that I have. I still have it. It's like I think 11 years old at this point.
Okay,
So I started off in the blogging world, learned
nice.
different, marketing skills. And when I shifted to, freelancing and everything, I was doing a lot of like content writing, content optimization for small businesses. And then I realized they didn't know what I was doing to help them grow on Google. So then I, shifted to focusing a lot more on SEO. I was doing like Facebook and Instagram, and then, 8 years ago is when they really started changing the algorithm like every other day. And I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
So I focused more on SEO and Pinterest since Pinterest is more of a search engine.
Yeah. So do you still keep your travel photography blog going or
Yeah,
not?
so it's
Yeah.
still live. I don't get to travel as much with two little kids now,
Yeah.
and I don't have time to update it as much. So I post maybe a couple times a year now rather than like
Okay.
weekly, which I was doing. But since I've had it for so long, and I do still have Pinterest kind of like running in the background for me, I'm getting like way more traffic from Google and Pinterest than I was,
That's
even a couple
awesome.
years ago. Yeah. So that's the power of SEO.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And
hmm
longevity, right? Just a
Yeah.
reason to stick around and keep at it. I
hmm
love that you still keep it up, even if it is minimally.
hmm
That's really cool.
hmm
Well, thank you for explaining all of that. So why don't we just talk a little bit about how AI is changing businesses? So we're talking about food blogger businesses
hmm
and how people find us. So just talk a little bit about that.
hmm Yeah, so AI is kind of like shifting the way people are searching. So people are still using Google. SEO is not dead. It's not going anywhere. But people are using like ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity for different types of searches. So they want, when they want like a recipe or something, they're not just going to ChatGPT and searching for like, brownie recipe. Like they're going to Google or, Pinterest for something that's more simple like that. But the average search on Pinterest is 23 words. So people are in like ChatGPT, or sorry, not on Pinterest, on ChatGPT is 23
Oh, I
words.
was going to say Pinterest. What?
Sorry. Getting all the search platforms
Yeah,
mixed
yeah,
up.
yeah.
So the average search on ChatGPT is 23 words. So
Okay.
people are getting really specific. They're not just searching for like a regular brownie recipe. Maybe they're searching for, a brownie recipe that like uses vegetables to hide the vegetables for their kids to eat, or
Yeah.
they're looking something that's like really fudgy, or something that's a lot more descriptive, or maybe something that they can whip up with whatever they have at home. They don't need to like go out and shop for ingredients. So I'll kind of like, I'll give an example for myself, but my husband's birthday is coming up and I always make him a different dessert for his birthday. So I'm going to ChatGPT to search for ideas. I don't want to just kind of do a chocolate cake. I've done that before. I want something that's like summery, but not like a strawberry shortcake. So I'm going to ChatGPT and I'm telling ChatGPT all of these things. what I'm looking for, what kind of ideas I want, and also some parameters on like I don't want to spend an entire day in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Like I still want it to be, something I can maybe prepare ahead of time, or doesn't take too much time to prepare. Maybe doesn't take too much time to bake. So people are going to ChatGPT for these like really specific searches. They're searching. They have a lot more parameters with their searches, and they're not just kind of like searching for a standard recipe. So that's where it's kind of different. So people are obviously still using Google and Pinterest, but if you have recipes that have like these different nuances, if you really focus your niche on like quick recipes that you can whip up, for in 20 minutes for your kids, something that is really specific to your niche, that is where ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, that's going to be really beneficial for food bloggers. So making sure that you have your niche, and then you're also using these words that people are searching in these AI platforms. So like whatever is relevant to your audience, but like
Mhm.
20-minute dinners, or I personally love like using one dish to make dinner. I don't want to have to like, wash a bunch of
Same.
dishes after. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, kind of like whatever is important to your audience, and then also using those words in your blog post, and use it in every blog post. I know you might think it's kind of overkill to like use the same language
Mhm.
every single time, but your audience likely isn't going to every single blog post of yours and reading them. If they are, you have a really great audience. But
Yeah.
a lot of times with like AI searches or Google or Pinterest, it's a very cold audience. They don't know who you are. They're not familiar with your brand. They really just want the content that you have. So making sure that you have that information in every single blog post is going to help both when they land on your website, but also getting them there as well.
So when you went to ChatGPT and asked about your husband's cake,
Mm-hmm.
now did you ask ChatGPT to come up with a recipe, or did you ask for
No.
okay, so you
Yeah, I
asked for
wanted
just like
recipes. Yeah.
blog posts. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
And
don't trust
then
ChatGPT to come up with a
right, yeah,
recipe.
I mean that is woo, wild
No.
card. But okay, so you ask for ideas from the internet, like
Mm-hmm.
bloggers, and
Yeah.
like where do I go for this? And then does it give you just a host of ideas, like blog posts to
Mm-hmm.
go to, or how did that work for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. So it gave me some like roundup posts of like summer dessert
Oh, okay.
recipes,
Okay. Yeah.
like on food blogging websites, and then also some um, like specific types of bakes. His family's Italian, so I was, trying to kind of look for some like lemon summer Italian recipes. So it gave me some ideas, and then linked to those like blog posts that are
Okay.
specific to those recipes. So I searched a couple different like things and asked for a couple different, ideas. So it gave me a few different formats. But yeah, definitely linked out to the food blogs because I do not trust AI to create
Yeah.
recipes.
I know it's kind of funny. I mean, I think it's getting better, but it's funny what it comes up with. It's like,
Yeah.
no, that doesn't. I don't think that works. Um, okay, so how do we as bloggers get seen in those searches, those
Mhm.
ChatGPT, et cetera, searches?
Yeah, so first, I mean, definitely know who your audience is. So again, like if you are, your audience is like families that have young kids and, they only have a short amount of time to whip something up for dinner, or if your audience really likes gourmet, they want to spend 5 hours in the kitchen on a Saturday, like just know who your audience is, and then know what types of things they're searching for. So, I mean, you can definitely start with doing keyword research with keyword research tools for SEO. You can also, one thing I love about doing AI search is that you can actually ask these AI platforms for answers. Definitely, I mean, know what you're asking for, make sure you're prompting the right way. But you can ask for ideas like, hey, this is who my audience is, get really specific on, if there's a specific age range or need or want that they have. Give ChatGPT, Gemini, or I mean Claude. You can use other AI platforms that aren't specific to search, and tell them who your audience is, and then also just kind of like get ideas for the types of words or language that they would use in order to find the types of recipes that you
Hmm.
have, and then incorporate those into your recipes and your blog posts. So that's one kind of benefit that AI has over
Yeah.
SEO. Like you can't just go to Google and say like,
Yeah,
"Hey Google, what should I
that's
add to
true.
help me rank higher?"
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
you're using AI tools to kind of help
Mm-hmm.
you get on the platform.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you're brainstorming together.
Yeah. It's very
Yeah.
meta.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. So using the right language and putting
Mhm.
that in each blog post, like you said, it's not overkill. Um, is there anything else?
I mean, there are lots of different things, but that's kind
Okay.
of like the first step is
Yeah.
knowing who your audience is. And then that is what I would be doing on your website to kind of help your website, get recommended in general by AI platforms. I also recommend doing some brand authority building off of your website as well. So I know a lot of times with bloggers, I mean, you have to be active on social media and like Substack and YouTube and everywhere. But it's also important to kind of build your like online PR presence as well. So you can do things like podcast interviews, getting featured by any like relevant online magazines or local publications or something like that. Because you do want to make sure other people are talking about you because that is going to help build your brand authority. And AI is looking for that. I won't get too technical with like how these AI platforms work, but Google, when someone searches on Google, they are ranking individual pages. Like, I'm sure everyone has seen when they've ever used Google. And then when people are going to AI platforms, they're doing what's called a query fan out. So they are searching not just on your website, but then also everywhere that like your website, your brand has
Hmm.
been mentioned. And then interestingly, the top website that ChatGPT uses is Reddit to kind of like get some information
Oh,
about businesses. So if you want to try to kind of like up your Reddit strategy, that could definitely be beneficial. So you could go to different like forums on Reddit where people are asking for recommendations for, recipes. Obviously be helpful. Don't just like drop a link and leave, but because people on Reddit, they will
mm,
I'm not a big Reddit user, but I know they'll like downvote you, and that can kind
yeah.
of like hurt your reach and things like that. But yeah, if you want to be like naturally, genuinely helpful on Reddit, that could be kind of a good way to get people talking about your recipes, another source of traffic. Um, and then the second most referenced website for ChatGPT is LinkedIn, which I know is not a
Oh,
big food blogging platform.
yeah.
But that could be a good way, specifically like LinkedIn articles, but also, they're looking at your like LinkedIn bio and posts. But if you wanted to just repurpose your food blogs into, I mean, you can go to ChatGPT, put in your blog and ask them to repurpose it into like a LinkedIn article.
Mm, yeah.
That could be a good test. I personally have not done this with food bloggers, so I don't have any data to back this up.
Yeah.
But LinkedIn is a big place that, ChatGPT is looking. So if you want to test that out, and it's also, I mean, it's not a saturated place for a food blogger, so it could be a good place to kind of like stand out and, try something new. But yeah, so just building your brand authority, get other people talking about your website, get other people, linking to your website. So if, maybe some like food bloggers that are in maybe different niches, but they're doing roundup posts, you guys can, kind of like work together and link to each other's recipes naturally, things like that. The
Hmm.
more that you can build your brand authority both on and off your website, that is really going to help with your credibility with AI platforms.
Okay, the LinkedIn thing, I've had that feeling for a while. Like, food bloggers don't naturally go there
No.
because obviously we're curating blog posts for our
Hmm.
websites, but it just feels like it's untapped and
Yeah.
there's something there. But I love that there's juice there that's linked
Hmm.
to AI. I didn't really know that.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah.
super cool.
So if someone wants to test this out, like please
Yeah.
let me know how it goes.
Yeah,
I'm
I
really
might do
interested to
that
see if it would be,
actually.
yeah.
I might do that. Okay, oh gosh, I had a question pop up in my head and I can't remember it. It was about, oh my gosh. Yeah, just finding ways. Oh, I know what I was going to say.
Hmm.
When you mentioned roundups again, when you were
Hmm.
doing your search for your husband's birthday cake,
Hmm.
did roundup posts come to you or did it just have roundup ideas? Was it like a URL to a
Hmm.
roundup post?
Yeah, it was to a roundup post.
Okay, interesting. But it also provides just direct URLs. Like, did it have
Hmm.
other birthday? Okay, just curious if it like
Hmm.
naturally went to roundup post first or if it was just a
Hmm.
collection.
So I asked like a couple different ways. So I think first I asked for like the ideas, and that's where it was kind of like the roundup post. And then I was like, got more specific with these are
Got
maybe
it.
some more parameters or some more ideas from those roundup posts that I'm interested in. And then it kind of like gave some more specific ideas of that.
Okay. Are there
Mhm.
any other ways that we can get our URLs in AI search?
Yeah, so there are some AI tools that you can kind of like at least start to track your data. I would say I wouldn't invest in one right away unless you are already like SEMrush. They have like AI tracking tools that they've added on in the last year or so. So if you're already using SEMrush, that could be something to kind of investigate to kind of see how people are searching, what people are searching for. Again, you can go to ChatGPT or Gemini, and you like if you have a recipe that is performing really well on Google, you can just go to them and say, "Hey, what would you recommend?" And then give the like parameters or ideas around the recipe and see if they recommend that recipe or if they recommend you for your specific niche. If they don't, you can go back and ask why. So again, this is you can go
Yeah.
back and forth with ChatGPT for like so many different things. So you can see maybe they might have issues like crawling or indexing your website. I know with ChatGPT and Gemini, if you have a lot of JavaScript on a page, they could have issues crawling it. So
Hmm.
then if they can't crawl it, they're not going to recommend you. So if you do have a lot of like ads that pop up or um, things that kind of like get in the way that aren't, you know, helpful to ChatGPT to be able to crawl that page, they're not going to be able to recommend it. So you can kind of like go back and forth to see maybe if there are any technical issues. So you can also just enter in your, URL to ChatGPT or Gemini and say like, would you recommend this website for anything? If so, what? Are there any, niches that you see that these recipes would be beneficial for that I'm maybe not like tapping into? So I would again just go back and forth with ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude and kind of see what ideas that they have. Yeah, they do also like quick information. So if you have, summaries of your recipes or of maybe like the ingredients or something like that, that you can put towards the top of the post,
Mm.
because I know you do want to have the content before you get to the actual recipe.
Mm-hmm.
But ChatGPT and Gemini, they do like kind of having that quick information. And I think over 40% of the searches with ChatGPT, they're only crawling the top third of a page.
Mm.
So if you're kind
Interesting.
of going into your life story, for the first half of the blog post before you get into anything relevant to the recipe, that's not going to help, with
Yeah.
ChatGPT. So making sure that you do have things on your blog posts that are structured well, make sure it's easy for them to get that information if they're not going to crawl the entire blog post. And then also just going back to the user, making sure everything is set up well for people who are actually reading the recipes. Again, with the ads, I know it's a really, good form of income, but just make sure they're set up like strategically where it's not invasive. And I actually went to one recently where I clicked on the jump to recipe and then it made me watch an ad which
Oh,
was fine.
yeah, that's not good.
But then the ad froze
Oh
and I
no.
couldn't get out of it.
Oh
Yeah,
gosh.
so then I just left that page because I couldn't
Yeah.
easily get to the recipe. Or there was one where I did get to the recipe, but then they had all these ads that were popping up on the sides that were
Mm.
actually blocking the actual recipe.
Oh gosh.
So again, I
Yeah,
couldn't
they
see the
can be
recipe, so I
invasive.
left. Yeah. So I know they're important for
I
getting some
know.
income, but just make sure if you're able to make sure they're set up where it's not blocking the recipe or prohibiting people from being able to actually get to the recipe.
Yeah. I occasionally go on, well, I make recipes from my own site, obviously, all the time. So I'll pull up a recipe and just kind of act as if I'm a user.
Mhm.
And if something is really invasive or annoying me,
Mhm.
then I'll note it and change it. But yeah, like going on your own site on your phone and
Yeah.
just making sure that everything, like what you experienced, going
Mhm.
to jump to recipe, actually, it's jump to add video, and
Mhm.
then it freezes. That's not a good user
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure everything's set up with the users. Yeah. I'm on my phone most of the time when I'm, cooking
Yeah.
recipes or looking for recipes. I would imagine most users are, but you can also see in like Google Analytics how many people are on desktop versus mobile. So you can, double check that to make sure things are set up well for both your desktop site and then also your mobile.
Yeah. Now, when we talk about like the AI overviews on Google,
Hmm.
are there different ways that we can get there? Because I know that they recommend URLs occasionally or
Mm-hmm.
websites. So how do we get our information there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so very similar. So things with, okay, so let me kind of back up a little bit. So with AI search, there's AEO, which is answer engine optimization. So that's a lot of the like featured snippets, AI overviews, things like that. And then there's GEO, generative engine optimization, which is like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini. Um, I just say AI search because no one knows what all those acronyms mean.
Yeah.
And if I say like GEO, it's going over everyone's heads.
Yeah.
So those are two kind of like different ways that you can be featured on AI, but it kind of goes back to very similar strategies. So again, giving that like quick information, making sure that you're targeting strong keywords, especially with AI overviews. On Google, Google is kind of like crawling your website to look for the keywords, very similar to SEO strategies. Um, and then I would say, making sure that your recipes are just something that is, unique and not just, I mean, unless you do want to kind of be a generalist, because typically people who see a recipe featured in AI overviews, if it's something that they need more directions on, or there are more nuances to the recipe, that's when they're going to click over. If it's like how to boil an egg, they can see the information right there in the AI overview and they don't need to click over
Yeah.
to the website. So if you do want to make sure you're getting the traffic, there's also a new kind of term called zero click marketing, which I don't think is very beneficial to food bloggers because you do need people getting over to your website. You're not really just
Yeah.
trying to build brand awareness. But that could kind of be something to check out if you are interested in more of the kind of like brand awareness strategies. But yeah, with your getting the actual traffic to your website and getting featured, I would definitely, focus on your SEO and then also making sure that whatever you're doing is more unique unless you do want to be, known as a generalist.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of food bloggers who, okay, I have this friend who she swears every time she posts something new, publishes something new on her blog,
Mm-hmm.
that AI overview on Google,
Mm-hmm.
like suddenly shows answers and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of taking over her recipes. So she's like, oh, dang it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so do you have ideas about how to, I don't know. I feel like some
Mm-hmm.
people think that it's stealing,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
from
Stealing.
their
Mm-hmm.
traffic. So
Mm-hmm.
how are ways to get around this or proactively think through this? Does that make
Mm-hmm.
sense?
Yeah, so I know it's hard because so the only surefire way to like not show up on your AI overviews is to actually block Google from your website. So to like no index your website, which you don't want to do because then you're not going to show up on Google or on
Yeah.
these AI platforms at all. So I know when ChatGPT first came in, that was like a big thing that a lot of bloggers were talking about doing because yeah, you don't want your ideas stolen. You don't want, you know, ChatGPT just scraping your website and stealing your recipes or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you do that, then you're also not being able to rank on Google or get recommended by ChatGPT or Gemini. So there, other than that, there's no surefire way of like not being able to show up in the featured snippets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And as
it's
far
kind of
as
tricky. Mhm.
it kind of goes along with what you were saying earlier about the hard boiled eggs, like if it's a really simple recipe, like how to
Mhm.
boil an egg, then people aren't going to need to click away. But
Yeah.
maybe making your recipes a little bit more complicated. I don't know. Just
Mhm.
somehow getting them to realize, the user, that they need to click over to get more information, I think
Yeah.
is the key, right? Like you can't get everything here. You have to go there.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
as a user, I mean, if it's a recipe that's like requires, mixing and like 10 ingredients and things like that, I'm not going to like keep my AI overviews
Mm.
panel open and
Hmm.
like, to
That's a good
see
point. Yep.
everything. Like I'm going to the recipe for that. But yeah, if it's like I don't know, a quick salad that you can throw three things together, or just like, I don't know, how to pickle cucumbers, something simple like that, then people might stay on the AI overviews. But yeah, if it's like a true recipe that, has several ingredients and instructions, then I can't imagine many people would stay on the AI
Yeah.
overviews, especially if it's something they want to like make again or save to Pinterest or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, if somebody is listening and they're just like, I've never really thought through this, I don't really know
Mhm.
where to start, is there something that they can, like, what's the first step? Just making
Mhm.
sure their content is searchable on the back end, or there are technical
Mhm.
things they need to have on their radar?
Yeah, so first I would definitely make sure you're able to rank well on Google. You are focusing on your SEO strategy because AI kind of starts with the SEO foundations. So make sure everything is set up well there. And then I would go to ChatGPT or Gemini, Claude, wherever, and just start a quote conversation
Yeah.
with them, and kind of like ask what they would recommend your website for. If there are things that are blocking ChatGPT from being able to crawl a page, if you have a lot of JavaScript, if you have a really slow page with a lot of ads, something like that. See if there's anything weird going on there, and then just kind of like going back and forth with seeing if there's anything that you should be adding, like if they have any ideas for if you have like FAQs or again like kind of like summary or having that more important information towards the top of the page if there's something specific that you can be doing, because it is going to be slightly different for kind of each different food blogger, each different recipe.
Yeah.
So
And
kind of getting
niche.
that
Yeah.
getting that specific advice is going to be helpful, but making sure that you are prompting them very clearly with this is who my audience is, this is their needs, their wants, this is what I focus on. So that way you're not just getting like really general information that's maybe not going to help you as much. So making sure you are very clear with all the information that you're giving AI in order to get the best answers back.
Okay. And then you've mentioned summaries a few times. So
Mm-hmm.
typically how blog posts go, which I'm sure you know, like
Mm-hmm.
an intro, short paragraph or two, just
Mm-hmm.
like giving your unique point of view, maybe throwing in some EEAT stuff in there,
Mm-hmm.
hero shot, and then like why this recipe works is kind of the generic theme. If I had to explain
Mm-hmm.
overall, like for the summary, would you include that in one of those, or is that one of those, or is it
Mm-hmm.
separate?
Yeah, so it would definitely be part of that. So
Okay.
yeah, I wouldn't just like jump into your recipe or like again jump into your life story without talking about the recipe. So yeah, you can and then you can go to ChatGPT and say like this is what I'm doing to kind of like introduce or summarize the recipe. Is there anything that's missing, knowing who your audience is,
Okay.
that would be beneficial to get recommended by ChatGPT more often, or is there anything else that ChatGPT or Gemini needs to know in order to know what this recipe is about before they get to the actual recipe?
Okay, perfect.
So that's definitely a good start, but you can see if there's anything else you should add or anything specific to AI that would be helpful.
Okay, that makes sense. Anything else we should know about this?
So you did mention kind of like showing your expertise. So that is definitely something that's really important. I kind of mentioned that doing it off your website, but yeah, making sure that you're also showing your expertise on your website. So that can be if you have any sort of credentials, like if you're a dietitian or you had a food and science degree or I don't know, worked in a restaurant for 10 years, or even if you've just been creating your own recipes, 4 5 years, and your kids love every single thing that you make, like
Yeah,
any sort of credibility
that's
that you can add to your
expertise.
website.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that you can add to your website to show, these AI platforms that you are an expert, you know what you're talking about. Um, if you can, have any sort of reviews, I know there are ways to kind of like add reviews with comments at the end of some of the blog posts. So if you can add those to kind of show that your, people who are actually making this
Hmm.
recipe enjoy it or it's easy to make, things like that. Um, any way that you can show your credibility, your expertise, that your recipes are great, that is also going to be beneficial.
Okay. Well, this has been really helpful for me. I have a few ideas in mind. I think this will give a lot of ideas for others too. Yeah, it's just kind of a new territory, right?
Yeah.
Like this is like think back to even 2 years ago or even a year
Mhm.
ago, and the way we thought through getting our blog posts delivered to
Mhm.
users is so different. So
Yeah.
yeah, just
It's
having a new mindset, I think. So thank you for all of this,
yeah.
Julia.
And I think just having a flexible mindset because
Yeah.
it's so new that it's going to keep changing really quickly.
Hmm.
So I wouldn't,
Feel
go
that.
through and update like all 500 of your recipes with, every single thing that I spoke about, kind of maybe going forward or updating some of like your, more important recipes or something like that. But yeah, something could change tomorrow.
I
We have
know.
no control over it. You
We've
kind of just have
learned
to go with
that
the
that can
flow.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So now, do you help people kind of strategize with this?
Hmm.
How can you help food bloggers and tell
Yeah.
us, yeah, like about that?
Hmm. Yeah. So I do offer AI audits. So if you want to see kind of like if ChatGPT is able to, recommend your recipes, who your competitors are, how your competitors are performing on AI, different, places that you can update your recipes. I do have an AI audit that kind of like covers all of that. If you kind of just want to dip your toe in, I do have a new freebie I just launched a couple weeks ago, all about prompting and how specific prompts that you can use with ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, or any other AI platform that starts tomorrow, to see, how they are understanding your website. Again, if there are any of those technical issues, and also how they are understanding you as a brand, to kind of like help build that brand authority and make sure they understand who you are and what you represent and everything. So you can find that on my website. Right now, it's at the banner top of every single page on my website, so it's pretty easy to find.
Okay. And yeah, we'll put a link to your website, obviously, in the show notes. And those can be found at eatblogtalk.com/Julie Renee Consulting, spelled exactly how you would think. Julia, sorry. Julia, I'm going to say that again.
That's okay.
Show notes can be found at eatblogtalk.com/Julia Renee Consulting. So go there and you can find everything we've talked about in this episode, and go to Julia's site and you can find that top banner and get that freebie. So thank you again for all of this. Such great information that we all need right now. And it was just a pleasure to talk to you today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
All right. Bye, Julia. Thanks for listening, everyone.